Hello bookish friends, I am coming to you live from Japan. As some of you may know, I'm currently on my dream trip to Japan. I'm with my husband and also with a group of about 7 friends, so yeah, there's a lot of people here, it's a lot of fun, it's very chaotic. And today I want to take a moment, because I have some free time to film some videos, to talk a little bit about how I feel like this trip is impacting the way I think about my book. If you haven't heard me yap about this, I genuinely don't know how you've missed this. However, I am currently writing my debut novel. It's a paranormal romance about morally grey, sometimes morally black demon kings and their fated human mates, and book 1 is currently with beta readers. I've started book 2, although I'm only on chapter 3 at the minute, but it has got words on the paper. And it's been interesting kind of travelling and seeing how the experience of travelling to Japan whilst writing books, I guess, has influenced the way I think about it a little bit. To be clear, Japan isn't in the books. It's a kind of like dark romantasy paranormal romance set in an alternate timeline, so I'm not featuring a specific location. But there are definitely elements of, I guess, Japan and things that I've experienced whilst travelling that have made me think a little bit differently about it, particularly about book 2, since that's what I'm currently writing. Currently in a hotel room in Osaka. Yep, did sound like a cunt then, take 2. Currently in a hotel room in Osaka. I've been whipping out my Japanese since I've been here, and it is rough. I did take a course a few years ago, so I can get by saying "Kado de haremasu ka?" But like outside of that, it is. I'm brushing off a lot of cobwebs in my mind, and I'm finding it more difficult than I anticipated in real life to both listen and formulate a response. I've just discovered cinematic mode, and though it makes little difference, I'm liking it a bit more because it blurs the chaos in the background, so we're going to go with that. I think the first thing I've noticed about travelling is the fact that prior to this, writing has definitely over the past couple of years become my like autistic special interest. And I don't say that in like a mocking way. I say that in that I am autistic and this is now my special interest in a serious way. And my brain is constantly all the time on writing my stories. I mean, I took about 1.5 years, close-ish to 2 years, just developing the world, because I've got an 11-part series. It's 11 parts so far. Who knows? A couple of novellas as well I'm thinking of. But it took me a long time to just ruminate over it and come up with the world. And then writing book 1, which still isn't finished because it's going through the beta process right now, but it's, let's say 80% there, 85% there, hopefully. That took me about 9 months to go through all of the drafts to get it ready for beta readers. And I've found that like constantly prior to this for over a year, all I do every day is think, and all I do about the book, and all I do every day is want to write. And if I don't write, I'm kind of sat there antsy, like I need to be doing something, and that thing needs to be writing or plotting or something. And for the first time in a really long time, being here, being somewhere else, days are going past where I'm not thinking about the book at all, which is honestly not a bad thing, because there have been times over the past year where I've done so much, I'm getting burnout, and I'm just really struggling to let go of the reins a little bit. You can't think about something all the time for over a year and have that be healthy. I've needed breaks that I haven't felt able to give myself, I guess, because it's a bit of an obsession. So this has been nice in many ways, and I found that kind of organically while I'm going about things, I'm not really thinking about the book or the series at all, but then just occasionally I'll be doing something or seeing something, and it would just, my brain will just go, oh yeah, this is something that I can try and build into the book, in terms of maybe like it's just a vibe or a feeling or something like that. I can't say I'm getting like new ideas for the books. It's not inspiring new ideas like that, but it's more just like, hey, let's remember this kind of feeling or this vibe right now, because this is something that I think I can incorporate. I think as well, one of the things that's quite interesting about being here is that there's a lot that quite ties into book 2, I suppose, because it's probably a bit too early to say, but I don't mind a little bit. One of the things about book 2 is that we're going to a different kingdom from book 1, because there's different kingdoms. And the kingdom that we're going to is a kingdom that very much has or is very strongly aligned to kind of tradition and culture and cultural practices. And there's kind of a lot of emphasis on kind of reverence and sacred practices, as well as kind of like the power of silence and the power of just being. And I think in book 2, even though I've not written it yet, the plan is that there's going to be a lot of focus on what can be communicated in silence, but like what silence and what body language and what being with someone else can communicate non-verbally. And I've definitely noticed, you know, when there's a lot of kind of silent moments at shrines, or when you're observing kind of cultural practices, like we went to a shrine, I've forgotten the name of the bamboo forest. I think it was Arashiyama. I'm doing my best with the Japanese pronunciations, okay? I know I'm not perfect. But we went to a shrine there, and we had a tour guide, and he taught us how to pray. And I guess one of the things that's really been helpful is capturing that kind of atmosphere and capturing those kinds of cultural processes. I didn't expect it to, and I didn't realise it would, but it really ties in with book 2. So I think I've got some very much lived experience of the atmosphere and what those kinds of things feel like, I guess. Equally, I think coming with not just my husband, but also a group of kind of our closest friends has been really, really beneficial as well in just reinforcing the power of having a community and friendship kind of dynamics, and how that can really elevate life and experiences and things like that. One of the things that I'm not personally into as an author is when you have two characters, because it's following the kind of paranormal romance style, in that it's a different couple for each book. So it's not, you know, one couple over 3 books or however many. But some authors will do that style, and then once, say, the first couple has gone together, they're pretty much gone. They're written out of the book. Goodbye. We might have some passing references to them later, but generally they're gone. That's not really me. Because the world that I'm building is so interconnected, it is natural and not weird or forced for those characters to come back. And in fact, there's going to be a lot of the characters as they go throughout the books. There's going to be a lot of those characters coming back, probably in most, if not every book, is my plan. And so it's been really interesting, both in like reinforcing how important it is to have those friendships and how it can elevate both scenes, and just the kind of complexity of the characters and the personality of the characters. But it's kind of also reinforced my thought that I definitely want to make sure I'm not just introducing characters, here is their book, goodbye, maybe I'll make a passing reference in a few books' time. I think the travel has also been a good reminder that I guess places need scale. It's not the case that I just write where the characters are right now, but I need to build scale. And I think because I'm doing kind of like a romantasy series, I think I'm naturally into weaving that in. I'm constantly trying to build in tidbits about the other kingdoms and build those other kingdoms and the people that live there, and making them feel alive, as well as, you know, the wider area where the hero and heroine, where the book is taking place, are. But it's also a good reminder of that, you know, reminder of scale. It's not just about where the characters physically are, it's about the wider world and the wider geography. So, you know, seeing all of these sprawling cities and the absolute insanity of the crowds. Along a similar vein, I think it's, you know, kind of reinforcing the fact that characters need lives outside of the plot, which again, I don't think is something I necessarily struggled with, but I never think you can kind of stop learning and refining your ability, and you can never have too many reminders of the important things, which I think that is one of the important things, because otherwise the characters are just going to feel really two-dimensional. So, you know, the kind of taking myself out of my comfort zone and things like that, and you know, people watching and seeing the lives of other people unfold has reinforced that too. I think it's also been positive just in terms of kind of like the world in which my story takes place is a little dark. The relationship can be a little bit dark as well, the relationships. There are certain things I don't do, would never do, which is like, I'm not interested in non-con or dub-con, cheating between the hero and heroine, you know, bullying. I'd never write a bully romance, that's not for me. So there are certain things I'd never do, but that being said, it's a really dark world, and the relationships inherently between humans, demons, there's a massive power imbalance there. The relationships themselves have to be pretty dark. And so my characters are necessarily going to be put in uncomfortable situations quite often. And I've definitely found, it's quite uncomfortable being put in the situation where you're in a country where a lot of people don't speak English. Point of all this being, it's been quite stressful, frustrating, anxiety inducing, and that's definitely this experience of being like a fish out of water and like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't fully know the customs, I don't know exactly what I'm saying, I don't think I'm communicating with these people properly. I constantly worrying because in Japan you have like impolite, polite, and some of the phrases I know I've realised are the kind of casual, you would say this with friends, so that then might be impolite, and I'm constantly like double checking, oh my god, is this the polite version of this? I think is actually really useful for when you are talking about or writing books about, demons, humans. Because in my series, they are not an integrated, lovey-dovey, happy, yay, we love each other community. It's like demons subjugate, humans exist. So I think I can really draw on that experience and use that, put that directly in there. And I will say one of the things, I wrote about 3,000-ish words on the plane on the trip here because it was a 13.5-hour flight. That was good. Since then, I've not really written much at all. And I'm okay with that. There's been a couple of times I've sat down to write and I've done a tiny bit, but my brain has just gone no. And I think that's okay. And I think that's it saying that it needs a break from this and this is not the time to do it. And again, I think that's a good thing, given how much I've invested into it and how much of my time I've spent on it over the past year. So yeah, I'm not sure what next week's video is going to be. We'll find out together because I will film it probably still at some point on this holiday. We're here for 17 days, so yeah, we're got about a week and a half left. Thank you for watching. Give this video a like if you'd like to. Please follow along if you'd like to, because I'm trying to grow this channel. I talk about horror and romance books, although there's a focus on romance at the minute. And I'm talking about my own kind of author debut journey as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.